Good evening, students. Standard 6. Today I am going to touch chapter 2 of history, that is about your civilization of the Fertile Crescent. In this chapter, I will discuss about Mesopotamian civilization, its origin, location, rivers, social structure of the Mesopotamian society, art and architecture, occupation of the people, religious ideas, and finally the decline of the civilization. So, students, as I have mentioned you in my earlier conversation about the Indus Valley civilization, so if we talk about the world's earliest civilization, the world's earliest civilization were your Indus Valley civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilization, and Chinese civilization. One more common factor among all these civilization are that they developed and flourished near the river. So, if we talk about Mesopotamia, actually Mesopotamia in Greek language means the land between the two rivers. So, because of its location, the place got the name Mesopotamia. And Mesopotamia, that is a modern day Iraq, it is located between the two rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. The land is very rich and fertile, and that's why sometimes it is also known as fertile crescent. Uh, Fertile Crescent. Okay, so Mesopotamia is also known as Fertile Crescent because of the presence of rich soil, fertile soil. Now, if we talk about the history of Mesopotamia, around 3500 BCE, you will see there was a development of world's first civilization. Perhaps world's first civilization was your Sumerian civilization or Mesopotamian civilization. So, this civilization, actually before the emergence of this civilization, there was already the Neolithic and Chalcolithic settlements in this area, and this civilization actually flourished for about your 1500 years. The main cities of this civilization were your Ur, Lagash, Nippur, and Kish. Now, if we talk in context of the emergence of this powerful civilization, so you will see that this civilization became the ground which has shown the emergence and decline of many civilizations. Okay, so if we talk in context of Mesopotamia, you will see around 2300 BCE, the ruler of the King Saigon of Akkad, he actually conquered many of the Sumerian cities, united them under one control, and established the Akkadian Empire. After the decline of the Akkadian Empire, there was emergence of powerful city-states. After this, again, the cities of Ur became very powerful under its ruler Urnama and Shulgi. Again, there is a decline of these dynasties. Babylon became very powerful under the famous ruler Hammurabi. Hammurabi is a well-known ruler of Mesopotamian civilization who is well known for his contribution in the field of law. He has given the world's first code of law. Okay. Uh, After this, again, Babylon was attacked by the invaders Hittites. The people who were living in the northern highlands, and the Assyrians, they were Assyrians, and these people became very powerful, and ultimately they established their control in the area. Around 600 BCE, King Nebuchadnezzar second, he actually revived the power of Babylon by establishing new Babylonian empire. So, in conclusion, you can say that this civilization, the Mesopotamian civilization, is the place where it has already seen the emergence and decline of many civilizations, and that's why in history it is known as the grave and cradle of many civilizations, because this place has seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. Now I will discuss about the features of the Mesopotamian civilization. The first part is about the social structure. What kind of society was existing in the Mesopotamia? Okay. So ultimately, if you will see the society, you will find that king was at the top of the social order. He was regarded as the representative of God on the earth, so he was at the top. And apart from him, the whole society was divided into three classes: the upper class, the middle class, the lower class. In upper class, the officers, the priests, and the members of the royal family especially they belongs to this upper class. And in middle class, the artisans, small land owners, your farmers, teachers, they all belongs to this middle class. And slaves and prisoners of wars, they actually form this lower class. Okay. Now if you will see the society, there is a patriarchal system, okay, in the society. It means a patriarchal system is a system where the head of the family is a male member. The eldest male member is the head of the family. He can be a father also, he can be an elder brother also, anyone, but the eldest member, male member, is the head of the family. He runs the family. So here also in Mesopotamian society, the head, that is your father, he is the actual head of the family. Although women's have a limited role, and they don't enjoy equal rights with the man, but they have some rights, like they can associate themselves in the trade activities. They have some property rights also. So social structure, I think so it is very clear to all of you. Now let's come to occupation. So what kind of economic activities or occupation people were indulged in this Mesopotamian society? So especially, as I have told you, that Mesopotamia, as it is a land which is located between the two rivers, having rich and fertile soil, so ultimately in your mind the first occupation or the major occupation would come, that is your agriculture. So agriculture was the major occupation of the people. And the rich and fertile soil, as well as the plenty amount of water provided by the Euphrates and the Tigris river, as well as the extensive and elaborate canal system, it all these factors, they played a vital role in the advancement of the agriculture was very advanced, and it was flourishing in Mesopotamia. So it was one of the chief occupation of the people. Animals like your ox was used for ploughing, and your ass was used for carrying the loads from field to home or to the marketplace. Apart from this, you will see that wheat, barley, and pulses were especially grown as the food crops. Apart from these food crops, vegetables were also grown by the people of Mesopotamia. Now, although farmers were the major sections of the society, but apart from farming, people were also indulged in the metal work. People were indulged in weaving, and as well as people were indulged in trade activities. So if we talk in terms of trade activities, you will see that trade, the relationship, especially in the field of trade of Mesopotamian people, was not limited internal boundaries. It was up to, they were is carrying the foreign trade also. And the evidence is very much clear because the Indus Valley seals were discovered from the Mesopotamian sites. So the people of Mesopotamia, they were carrying the extensive trade system, and they were carrying the internal and external trade. The major items of import were actually your ivory items, your silk, spices, timber, and others, from especially from India. They were carrying the trade with the eastern part of Africa, Egypt, and India. Now, because of the growth of the trade, there was growth of cities and town also, which helped to develop the urban culture, as well as it also helped to increase the prosperity of the people. Now let's come to art and architecture. The excavation at the various Mesopotamian sites clearly reveals that the people of Mesopotamia were great builders. They built the cities like your Ur, Sumer, and others. So if you will, especially the excavation sites at Ur clearly revealed the town planning which the people of Mesopotamia carried out. And this, according to this town planning, what they have done, they have divided the city into three parts. I have already discussed in Indus Valley Civilization also, there was a town planning and the city was divided into two parts, eastern and western. So here also the city was divided into three parts. One was your sacred area, and the other one is your the walled city, which was built on a mound means a raised platform area. So and the third one is your outer town. So the sacred area, it was actually dedicated for the building of the temple to the god, or the patron god of the city. And your walled city and your outer town, they were used for living purpose by the people. The In the sacred area, the common feature, if you will see, was the presence of the ziggurats. Ziggurats were actually the massive structures built by the Mesopotamians, that acted as a temple and was dedicated to the patron god of the city. Now, this ziggurat, it was actually made of baked bricks, and they were decorated with colored tiles and precious stones. As well as this ziggurat, it was actually, if you will see, this was many story high building. And if you will see the in the field of architecture, or in the construction of the buildings, the Mesopotamian people, they were not using stones. Instead of stones, they were going for the use of bricks. And why it was so? Because there was a lack of availability of the stones. That's why your Mesopotamian structures, they did not last long in comparison of the Egyptian structures, which were built of stones. And as there are also evidences of various dams and canals which were built by the Mesopotamian people in order to control the flood, as well as to store the extra water. Also, the Mesopotamian people, they should be given the credit for introducing columns, arcs, and other structures, which especially improved the architectural skills as well as the architectural pattern. So in the Mesopotamian buildings, you will see that the presence of domes, arcs, columns, walls are very common. So it is a unique feature, and the even this feature has been accepted and used by the people all over the world. So credit goes to the Mesopotamian people. And I would mention you about the one of the seven wonders of the world, ancient world especially, that is the Hanging Garden of Babylon. So it is the contribution of the Mesopotamian people, especially the king Nebuchadnezzar II. He built this impressive hanging garden, and this garden is famous all over the world. So not only this garden, even King Nebuchadnezzar second, he was well known for the many constructions of buildings, as well as the gateways. The Istar Gate is one of his famous contribution. So, in the field of architecture, you will see that the Mesopotamian people have contributed a lot. Not only this, people of Mesopotamia, they were excellent in metalworking, in pottery, and they were perhaps the Mesopotamian people were perhaps the first in the world to produce the glasswares, which is used for decorating purpose. Even they also produce the seals of various shapes, like your cylindrical shapes and others. Let's come to religion. So religion is also an important part of the Mesopotamian society. If we will talk in context of religion, you will see that the people of Mesopotamia, they were god-fearing people. They believed in many god and goddesses. They also used to worship the natural forces like your sun, moon, rain, and others. So apart from this, if you will see that every city, they have a temple called ziggurat, and each city was dedicated to their patron god. So people, especially the farmers, they used to give two-thirds of their produce for the religious purpose, as well as people were also giving during those time. People were also giving the animal sacrifices. The king was believed to be the chief priest, and he was having the power to appoint the priest, who is actually a very learned and intellectual person. Actually, why king was having this enormous power of appointing the priests, why this religious power is also residing with the king? Because you all know that during those days, especially in Mesopotamia, there was a theory of kingship, and I have told you what is theory of kingship, where the kings or the rulers, they declare themselves as the representative of God on the earth. So ultimately, if they are declaring themselves the representative of the God on the earth, definitely people are going to give a lot of honor and prestige, a lot of honor and respect to the personality. So here king was enjoying enormous power because of this also. The people of Mesopotamia, they used to worship the god Enil, which is the god of wind, Anu, which is the god sky god, your Enki, which is the um, earth god. So they have faith in natural forces also. And apart from this, you will see that the Mesopotamian people, they have belief of they believe that life exists even after death, and that's why they used to do after the last rituals, after the death, and the last rituals, they used to they used to keep the articles which are used in day-to-day life, or you can say daily used items in the grave. So it shows that people have believed that life exists even after death, and that's why they put all those things with the dead body, and put that dead body in the grave with those daily used items. The people of Mesopotamia, they have contributed a lot in the field of mathematics too. So you will see in the field of mathematics, they have contributed in the numbers and numeral system. They had several symbols, various numerals. They had specific, as well as they had specific signs for several numbers. They have also contributed a lot in the field of timing system, because they had used the number 60 as a unit for measuring time. They were the first one to divide the hour into 60 minutes, and 60 minutes again into 60 seconds. Even they were the first to divide the whole circle into 360 degrees. Their measuring unit for the weighting system especially was Mina. And perhaps they were the first one to invent the calendar system, and they have divided the whole year into 12 months, and again into 30 days each. And even they have divided the whole day into 12 hours each. Also discovered your bronze, and they were having the knowledge how to make copper by mixing bronze and tin. They were also having the knowledge how to make bronze by mixing tin along with the copper. Come to the art of writing. In the field of writing, the Sumerians were the first to develop the system of writing, that was your uniform script. They have developed the uniform script, and this script actually it was a wedge shaped pictorial script of Mesopotamian people, which was written from right to left with a sharp reed pen called stylus. And this stylus was actually made up of bone or a metal. And see, this uniform script, it was actually written on soft clay, and then it was baked. And it was one clay tablet, it was placed after the other one to give it the shape of a book. So in the field of writing also, Mesopotamians have contributed a lot, and their writing was deciphered by our historians. Because of this, we have a lot of information regarding the people of Mesopotamia, and about their life, whether it was their social, political, cultural, or the other economic activities. And we are all able to know about the life of the people of living in the Mesopotamia or in this earliest civilization. It is because of this script. And this in the field, not only in the field of writing, even in the ancient city of Sumer, the historians, the archaeologists, they have excavated a library which is having 30,000 clay tablets. And this is a unique feature of your Mesopotamian society, which reveals that at that time also the education or intellectualism was having vitality in the society. Now let's come to the Hammurabi, Code of Hammurabi. Code of Hammurabi is actually, it is a code of laws which was actually codified by a great ruler of Mesopotamian civilization, Hammurabi. And if we are talking about Mesopotamian civilization, it would be incomplete without the mention of Hammurabi, a great ruler of the second millennium BC, as well as a great, not only a great king, but also a ruler who has uh, perhaps for the first time who used this codified system of law in order to maintain a law and order in the society, in order to give a proper system to the people. So actually this Hammurabi code of law consists of 280 laws. It is a set of 280 laws which covers every aspect of human life, whether that is your property, your the other aspects like contracts, marriages, murder, etc. So these have been engraved on a 8 feet high stone, and it is one of the greatest contribution by the Mesopotamian people to the world. Now let's come to the decline of the civilization, which is the final topic of the chapter. So students, as we have seen that this Mesopotamian civilization, it is one of the world's earliest civilization, most advanced and developed civilization, and contributed a lot, not only in the field of agriculture or art and architecture by introducing columns, domes, arcs to the in the which are very crucial and helpful in the construction of the building, but also in the field of education or in the field of writing. We are seeing that they have established a system of writing, a library, codified law system. So these all contributions were made by the people of this civilization, and no doubt that this civilization was one of the advanced and developed civilization. But the civilization, it has perished. And what were the reasons, actual reasons behind this, behind the decline of the civilization? According to historians, the civilization might have declined because of the change of course of the rivers, Euphrates or Tigris, because as the river have changed their course, the land became desert area, and people had to shift from that place to another one. Or might be because of the warfare, people have lost their life and the civilization perished. So students, now the chapter is over. If there is any problem, please mention me in the comment. I'm giving you the question answers, homework and everything. Students, please subscribe the channel so that you can get timely informations. Okay, thank you.